Hello everybody, this is TechNolli, and today we're going to do the EFI and the install for the ASRock Z490 Phantom Gaming iTX with Thunderbolt motherboard. So I'm going to show you how to make the EFI, and this will be on OPENCORE 6.6, OC 6.6, and let's get started with this. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go over to the web. And let's go to TechNolli, technolli.com. Okay, and then let's go to the downloads page. Okay, guys, all credit goes to these guys over at OPENCORE. They are truly amazing. I don't have anything to do with making the EFIs, so all credit goes to them for everything that they do. Amazing people. Okay, so first thing I want to go ahead and just grab real quick is Mount EFI. Now you can go directly and find these. You don't have to go to my website. You can do a Google search on them if you want, but I have the links there, so it just makes it a little easier. So we're going to need that. And let's see, what else could we need? We're not going to need to make any serial numbers because we have a new trick for that. And we don't need the OPENCORE. Okay, so now just type in OC Gen X. And we'll come up here and we want to go to the releases right here. All right, this is the simplest way that I know to make an EFI. So grab the app right here. Okay, and let's go ahead and I always put that on the desktop. Okay, so first thing I want to do now is go over to ASRock's site. So I'm going to look up this motherboard. So it's the ASRock Z490 Phantom Gaming ITX. Right here it is. And I want to know a couple of specs. So first off, I really kind of want to know what CPU I'm going to put in it, okay? And I'll show you why in a second. And then I want to go to specs here, specifications, and I want to find out which LAN adapter this has. Okay, so it has the 2.5 gigabyte. It's the Dragon RTL 8125G. And this is a good video to do for this because this is the Realtek 8125G and it won't work when you first boot up. We have to make a change, okay? So let's go ahead and I'll minimize this so we can go right over here to the OC and Gen X. So let's right click and open and then open. Okay, so here we go, latest version, and we're going to be doing OPENCORE 0.6.6. This is a Coffee Lake. This is 10th gen, so it's Coffee Lake motherboard. And then we want to go to kexts, and we want to make sure that these are included, which they always are. I don't put in these. If you want to monitor your CPU, laptop stuff, that's what this is for. Go over to graphics and grab whatever green. Now, if you're going to use a 5000 series graphics card, we're going to need to put in a boot argument, but I'll show you where I like to put that afterwards. And then we'll go to audio, and we definitely want Apple ALC, and then we want ALC ID equals 1 works just fine. Put that in there. And then we'll go to Ethernet. And here is the RTL 8125. So we'll click on that. USB, we don't need anything. And Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, they aren't allowing us to inject the kext for the Intel Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So we'll put that in ourselves later. So we don't want to check anything here. Extras, we don't have anything. Firmware drivers, yes, we want those, and those are checked. And then SM BIOS. Now, this is where you have to decide, or you have to know, that if you have an Intel i7 10700 or less processor, like an i5 or an i3, then you want to set this to iMac 2021. If you have an i9 10850 or 10900, then you want to select 20,2. Now, I have an 10850 in here, so I'm going to go ahead and select this, and I'm going to click this a couple times. This generates our serial number, our motherboard number, and our UUID for us, so we don't have to do it later. Additional boot arguments, we'll just go ahead and put in debug equals 0x100. Okay, so we're done. We just click generate EFI, and there it is. Now, we're not done. Now, we need to have SSDTs, so they're under the OC folder, and they go in the ACPI. Now, if we go back over to the OPENCORE website, OPENCORE, and we click on the first one there, and we go down here to Coffee Lake. Now this shows us that we need, under ACPI, which is where we are right here. Let me make this smaller for you. Okay, so in this folder, we need to have these SSDTs. Now, this is an ASRock motherboard, and as you see right here, this SSDT RH or R hub, the Gigabyte and the ASRock boards do not need this, and I have confirmed that. So I just click here on the first one, and I can go right over here to the pre-built SSDTs, and I can go down here to desktop, Intel desktop, and Comet Lake, and I can grab pre-made SSDTs. So there is the plug, SSDT plug. Here's the one for USB-EC. And we'll go back one more, and we need AWAC. All right. Okay, cool. So let's go back there, and let's close this out. We'll go back to the Comet Lake. All right. So while I'm right here, let's go ahead and put those SSDTs in the ACPI folder. All right. So we'll just grab them right here and drop them in there. Okay, so we're done with that. Now, we have our kexts folder right here, and everything's cool except we need the kext for the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Now, to get those, we can come right over here to Gathering Files on the OPENCORE. Gathering Files, and scroll down until you see Wi-Fi Bluetooth. Okay, so we click here on this one, and we want to go down here to Assets. Now, I have been using the stable ones and without any issues. These are still debug issues, so for now, guys, I think I would just recommend, because these do work, to just go with the stable, the version 1.2. I am installing Big Sur, so I'll grab this one. And then I'll go back to the guide and get the Bluetooth right there. Just that simple. All right, so let's open up the downloads again, and I will grab this one and the two. There's two of them for Bluetooth. All right, we are done with that. Okay, so let's go back to the guide, and we are going to now need proper tree. Now, I should have gotten that when I was on my website, but we'll go back to it and grab it real quick. And my links go right to the web pages, so you're always getting the latest version, okay, which you will need. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put proper tree on the desktop. And I'll go ahead and move this over here. Let's go ahead and open up proper tree. Right click on proper tree.command and open. And then click open again. All right, let's get this out of the way. And then we'll go right over here to File and Open. To the desktop, there's my EFI I'm working on, OC folder, config.plist. So open it up. There we go. All right, now I'm going to go back to the guide. So I have this to go by, of course. I'm going to scooch this over here. And if you've watched my other videos, the process is pretty much the same now. We'll just go back down here to the comment lake. We've got our SSDTs in the ACPI folder. And now we can move on. So let's go ahead and, first of all, do an OC snapshot. So we're going over here, we're going to File, OC snapshot. Usually defaults to the OC folder, okay, which is here, here, and here. Click choose, and it just injected all of the SSDTs and the kexts, which are down here. But let's also do an OC clean snapshot. Okay, and click choose. All right, that puts everything in order. All right, let's move on down here to the quirks, which is the first set that you see right here. Here's ACPI, that's done. We'll go down here to quirks. And we want to make sure that whatever this says is correct over here. So we'll, if something's not mentioned, by the way, you leave it by default. So let's go to this first one, which is right here, and it is set correctly. Enable write unprotector is set correctly. Protect UEFI services, correct. Rebuild right there is set correctly. And setup virtual map is set correctly. And of course this one. Okay, now if you want your onboard, your CPU graphics to help you do computing tasks, then let's add in some lines here under device properties. So go here to add, right click, and choose new child under add. Okay, so there it is. Now let's grab this text right here, copy, and let's paste it in there. Hit enter, and then change this to dictionary. And then we're going to right click on what we just put in and do another new child. And we're going to be here, and we're going to add this right here. Paste that in there. Change this to data. And then let's put in this number right here. And right there it goes. Paste it in there. Hit enter, and we're done with that. So now we've got the onboard CPU graphics doing some work for us because we're using a Radeon 580 on this one. Okay, so let's move on down here. This is if you have an Intel 2.5 gigabyte LAN controller, but we don't have that, so we can pass that up. We can pass this up unless you want to put in the actual layout ID for audio, or you can leave it as ALCID equals 1. Okay, so we'll just move on down here and we'll come to these next quirks. which is right here. And we just verify everything here, and everything looks correct. So we're fine. And then we'll come down here to debug, and everything is set up correctly for us to move on. Okay, so this is really simple. Okay, then come down here to NVRAM, and that's right here, NVRAM, and this is where we are under boot arguments, right here, boot args. So we have a few in here. We have -V, which gives us the text when we start the computer, so we can see if we're having problems. We have the this keep sims equals 1. We have the ALCID equals 1, which is for audio, and debug. If you have a 5000 series graphics card, then you would need to add this text. Just copy it and paste it into here with a space. So you would go like that. And I'll show it to you so you know it's there. There it is. Okay, I don't need it because I don't have a 5000 series. So I'm going to get rid of it. And there we go. Okay, guys. The next thing we need to change is our system language, which is right here, preferred language. So we're going to change this to string, and then here we can type in for English EN-US:0 and hit enter. Now it's in English. If you need a different language, you can go right here and grab it. And there's your other languages or codes that you would put in there for that. So Write Flash is enabled by default with our beautiful OC Gen X program, which, by the way, this gentleman is awesome who made the Gen X. I want to give him 100% credit. In fact, let's go look at him real quick. OC Gen X. I should have said that before. I'm sorry for that. Right here. This guy is amazing. Pavo, I am. He comes up with so many things for Hackintosh. He is to be commended. Excellent work. All right, so this is done. We are done. We can go up here to File and Save. And I want to get into the BIOS on this and show you the BIOS settings. They're very important, as always. And then we will start the process. But before we do, we have to make the USB stick. So grab yourself a blank USB. Okay, guys, so right here is my blank 16 gig or better USB stick you're going to need for Big Sur. So we'll just simply go over here to Utilities and format it. So we'll go over here to Disk Utility. Make sure we select the down arrow and Show All Devices. And there it is. There's my USB stick. And I'm going to erase it. And I'm going to call it USB. And I'll leave it macOS Extended Journal, but I'll change this, of course, to GUID Partition Map. And click Erase. Okay, all done there. Now, you need to make sure that you download, under Applications, the Install macOS Big Sur. Now, how do you get that? You could get it from another Mac. You can get it from a video, which I will give you a link to up here to show you how to do it. But you've got to get it downloaded. If you download it normally like a real Mac on a real Mac, then it will show up here and you'll be fine. Or if you have a friend that has a Mac or whatever, you just need to get this installed. And like I say, the video up here will show you another way to do it. All right, so we're making sure that's in here. And we'll go over to the web and just type make a USB bootable Mac. There we go. Then click on this one right here. Support.apple.command, how to create one. Go down here to Big Sur and just grab this text all the way to the volumes /. Just copy that. And then we'll go here to Spotlight and type in terminal. And just right click that line into here. And then we need to add USB, which is what we named our stick. Hit enter, put in your password. And if it gets stuck here for a while, just wait for it to come up, okay? Okay, it took about a minute for it to come up this time on this one, so that's cool. Now we type Y for yes, hit enter, and it's going to erase that stick. Go ahead and say OK, and start making the Big Sur vanilla USB stick. And this is the process, whether you buy an EFI from me or whatever, that you've got to make a vanilla USB stick. Okay, when this is done, we will come back. Okay, so that's what it looks like when it's all done. So we'll just go ahead and close out terminal. And we'll get rid of this. So here is our vanilla USB, and there is the Big Sur. So what we need to do now is go to our downloads and grab Mount EFI Update. And this is what we use to mount the USB stick so we can see the hidden EFI partition. So we just double click, right click on Mount EFI.command, open, and then open again. All right, so our USB stick is right here, number 1. Just hit number 1, enter, put in your password, and right there, the hidden EFI partition shows up. Right there, there's nothing in it, so we just put the EFI folder that we just built into the hidden partition, and we're ready to get into the BIOS and start installing. So let's go ahead, shut down, get into the BIOS, and I'll show you how to set it up. Start tapping the delete key to get into the BIOS. All right, here we go. All right, so on ASRock, we want to go to the advanced settings to set our settings up. So let's hit F6, and this is our advanced settings. So we want to go over here to Tweaker, OC Tweaker, and really, guys, there's nothing in here that we need to mess with. Okay, so let's go over to Advanced, CPU Configuration. Right here, by default, CFG lock is disabled, so we're good there. So there's nothing in here we have to change. Hit Escape. Chipset configuration. We want to make sure that VTD is disabled. By default, it's enabled. And of course, above 4G decoding is enabled. Okay, hit Escape. Storage configuration, nothing to mess with. NVMe, nothing to mess with. Intel Thunderbolt, yes. We need to make sure that this is set to no security. By default, it sets it like this, and it won't work. So we have to set this to no security, and that's it. It's already enabled right here. Hit Escape. Super IO, there's nothing to change. ACPI, there's nothing to change. USB configuration, by default, this handoff is disabled and we need it enabled. So just everything like you see it right there. Nothing else to change. We'll go over to boot, and fast boot is disabled, and that's the way we want it. We'll come all the way down to the bottom to CSM compatibility. By default, this is enabled, and we want it disabled. Hit escape, go over to exit, save changes, and exit. I've already got my stick in here. Now, since I already have OS on here, I'm going to start tapping on ASRock. I'm going to start tapping the F11 key to come up to the motherboard boot menu. All right, here we go. So I'm tapping that F11. Okay, now this one is my USB stick, and that's what I want to boot from. So we hit enter, and then we want to come up here to install macOS Big Sur external, hit enter, and away we go. We're going to have a lot of text, of course. And the reason that I always show the text is because if you run into a problem while you're installing, you can send me or email me a picture of where your screen is stuck if you do get stuck. But if you use this EFI, it'll work. This EFI will be available on my website if you want to purchase it, or of course you can build it yourself and learn how to do this and have fun. Okay, we're coming up here to the disk utility. We click continue. Make sure, guys, that you press this down arrow to show all devices. All right, and right here is the one I want to erase. And so I'm going to click erase up here, and I'm going to call it Mac OS. You can call it whatever you like. And we need to keep it on APFS and GUID partition map, and click erase. Okay, we are done. Go out of here, install macOS Big Sur. Continue, continue, agree, and agree. Select the drive you just named, and continue. I won't bore you with these long screens, but this gets down to about 12 minutes remaining, and it'll reboot on its own. We want to make sure we leave the USB stick in the computer because we still need to boot from it a few more times. All right, when it gets closer, I'll come back. Okay, it says 12 minutes remaining. Let's see how long it takes to reboot. There it goes. Okay, like I said, we'll leave the USB stick in there. It's going to come back up to the OPENCORE picker window, and it'll automatically select the correct macOS installer, which is the continuation. So there it goes. I haven't touched anything. And it will continue on. And this next step takes quite a bit of time. Okay, we'll get up here to the Apple logo again. It says 29 minutes remaining, and that's about right. So when it gets closer to the end, we'll come back, and it's just going to reboot on its own again. And it'll do it a few more times. All right, we'll come back. Okay, so just restarted on its own again. We'll leave the USB in there. We still got to boot from it again. Still picking the Mac OS installer, which is perfect. That's what we want. Continue along. This process will take quite a bit of time with the text. In fact, it'll look so crazy, you'll think, oh man, this thing is just in a boot loop or something. But it is doing its thing. Totally different process than Mojave and Catalina. as far as screens go. All right, finally got through that. Come back up here to the reboot. And now it picks macOS, which is the name of our NVMe, and continues along. Apple logo this time, but I think we still have another reboot. There it goes. macOS, perfect. And voila, finally. Now on the back of this motherboard, we have the Wi-Fi connector, and I do have my Wi-Fi antenna that comes with the motherboard connected. And so it found out that I'm in the US, so it is seeing Wi-Fi. We'll click continue, and continue. Not now. And here you can select your Wi-Fi signal. So I'll just grab this and try to log in. Put in your password for your Wi-Fi. Continue. Still trying to connect. Now guys, it'll take a little while to get past that. So we'll continue, and I'm not transferring, I'm not using migration assistance, so I'm going to say not now. Definitely, well, you could log in with your Apple ID at this point because we already have a new serial numbers and UUID. So if you wanted to, you could. I'm just going to say later and skip. I'm going to agree and agree. And I'll just give it a name and a password. Continue. And I always customize these. I enable location services, and I turn off analytics. You do what you like there. I'll set up later. No Siri, and continue. And then here's where you choose your light or dark mode or auto. Okay, there we are. Now just do what it says here. Continue and press the keys it wants you to press, and done. Okay, now I am connected to Wi-Fi right here. If I want to check the LAN settings, or if I want to use LAN, then we definitely need to go over here to System Preferences and then Network, and I'm going to turn off the Wi-Fi. All right, so here is my Ethernet. Now notice I do have it connected, but it shows it's not connected. So what we have to do with this RTL 8125E is go to Advanced and go to Hardware, and set this to manual. Set the speed to 100 base TX. Duplex, we can set it to full duplex, energy efficient, and leave that on standard. Click OK, then click apply. And watch right here. Now we're connected. So you have to make that change right here or it won't work for the Wi-Fi or for the LAN connector. Okay, so the only thing we have left to do is to transfer the EFI folder from our hidden EFI partition of the USB stick to the hard drive. So let's jump back over to the TechNolli website. And we'll go to downloads and grab Mount EFI again. Download it. And what we need to do then is just go to our downloads. Then we'll just right click on Mount EFI.command, open, and OK. And it will pop up here. We need to get to the hidden partition on both the USB stick and the hard drive. So we'll select number 1. Put in our password. And then number 3. Okay, so I'll go ahead and close out terminal. And we'll just go over here to computer, and here is the hidden EFI on the hard drive or on my NVMe. And here is the hidden EFI partition on the USB stick. All I have to do is drag and drop into there. Okay, now, one last thing. If you want to get rid of that text when it boots up, then let's go back over to TechNolli. And we'll download right here, proper tree again, because we just need to get rid of that -v in the config.plist, okay? So let's go over here to downloads and proper tree, right click, open, and then file, open, and we're gonna go to the EFI, but we're not going to the one that's the USB stick. So let's go ahead, just to be safe, and eject our USB stick because we don't need it anymore anyway. Okay, so now if we go to Mac, which is the name of the computer, we have just our EFI on. Our NVMe, we'll just open up config.plist, and we can just scroll all the way down to NVRAM. Get rid of the -v. There we go. Go ahead and save. And that's it. Now, when we restart, it looks more like a real Mac. And there we get the little picker window. And the reason we have the picker window, we can set the picker window to not even show up or for a split second. But if you're going to do dual boot, then you'll want to have that picker window so you can choose between, Linux and macOS or Windows and macOS. And the reason this error came up is because there's another hard drive on this computer, NVMe, that is not formatted yet, which is for Windows dual boot. But we'll just get rid of that. So there you go, guys. We are done. Pretty simple process, really. The new way of doing OpenCore, at least the way that I'm using it nowadays. It works great. Like I said, if you don't want to hassle with making the EFI, you can purchase it on TechNolli.com. And thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like this channel. and we'll see you on the next video.